It's Podular. Thank you for joining us once again, folks. It is Thursday, March 12th. This is episode 71. And we are going back to the Southeast to finish off our recap of this 5-night run. Last week, we broke down the Eastern shows, 2-night run in Atlanta. Tonight, we go into Pittsburgh, Charlottesville, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And we've got some boots on the ground commentary from a good friend of ours, new special guest here to help us out with that. So that's what we've got on the agenda here. So let's get into it. First things first, bring in my co-host, Mr. Scotty Fuller. How we doing, my friend?
Oh man, that intro's got me ready to run through a fucking wall, brother.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
More on that later.
Yeah, more. We got a lot to get to tonight, a lot to talk about. Before we talk about any of that, though, we've got our resident weatherman here with us tonight. A new friend and our boots on the ground for this week. He hails from Denver, Colorado. He saw his first show in the year 2000 and has 77 under his belt. And we are grateful that he was able to join us on a little bit of short notice here tonight. Welcome, our lounge weatherman, Mr. Brian Lee.
Good evening, guys. How's it going?
Going
well.
Good,
Man.
Going well.
So thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much for joining us. I feel like we're being joined by a celebrity here, man. Your video has been popping off in the lounge. It's funny that we get to doing the weather because, like, have you had that moment, like, in the late 2000s where you flipped on Weather Channel and you heard Metameme or Tokyo? Have you had that moment? Is there any, like, inspiration of that behind this bit?
Not actually at all, really, to be honest with you. In fact, it was somebody was like, hey, all that's missing is Metameme. And I was like, oh, yeah. It was more like My wife and I were just completely making fun of the situation that was going down in New York because
Yeah.
I mean it was crazy. Like that was my first time ever in New York, and to have like a nor'easter happen and be like completely snowed in. I ended up like, yeah, it completely changed our plans, or I was supposed to go home and I ended up not going home and spent the whole week on the East Coast. So it
Where were
just
you?
was what I was in Manhattan until Wednesday, and then we took the train to Raleigh on Wednesday night. We got to Raleigh
Sick.
to Carver on Wednesday night. So and uh and then we flew to Atlanta from there on Friday morning. So
So
Love
this
that.
this whole trip was unplanned. You were
New
planning on
York
going home.
New York and Atlanta were planned, but the whole
Okay.
middle part of the week wasn't planned at all. But like once it was like you're not going home till Wednesday, I was like, well, what's the point of flying to Denver and then flying back to Atlanta on Friday morning, right? And it was like, so once I got the clear from work that I was okay to miss, one more day other than the ones that I was already planning or forced to miss, it was like, we just decided to make lemonade out of a nor'easter and turn it into an East Coast trip. So
I love that. That's in the impromptu train trip is amazing because
Yeah.
my YouTube algorithm has been like throwing long train trip reviews at me for some reason. Like I'm in a deep train hole right
it,
now.
it
Is that something you've done before?
Never. And it was like
Yeah.
such a surprise. Well, okay, so I've ridden a train, like done train, like, gone to Europe, ridden the trains, but never like where it was like, this is going to be a 10-hour adventure on the train when we left New York.
Yeah.
And
I've always wanted to do this. I've never
yeah,
done
it
this
was
before.
like, and it totally was like when it became, I was like, I'm not getting on an airplane. It's like after like having reservations canceled and everything, and like
Yeah.
looking, it was the same price to fly one way to Raleigh or take the train. And Leslie and I got like the little roomette, and so
Yeah.
it was like our own little private like capsule. And
Nice.
like it was what it kind of like and it's funny because like they were like, would you like to dine with somebody? And so we dined with a couple that was like on their way to a cruise from Chicago
Excellent.
all the way. And I was like, God,
So
and
were they going down to Florida
we were
from
going to
Chicago?
Florida because that's where the train
Oh my
stopped. Like it dropped
God.
us off. Like, so we actually didn't even spend the night. We just honestly spent like 7 hours in our little private capsule partying. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, for
Man,
lack of a better
Scotty,
word.
we gotta get on that. We gotta plan a
Dude,
boys trip.
it sounds
Yeah.
so fun.
I have no dreams of like West Coast run on the train now, like city to city. Like, let's make it happen.
Japan on
Oh,
the
God.
train. Yeah, I mean, like
Do
some
it.
of those luxury trains in other parts of the world are absolutely insane. Scotty, I'll send you some links. You'll see what I'm talking about here.
No,
But
you were talking to me about it when we were in Atlanta the other week.
oh, it
Yeah,
was there you go.
yes, I've been wanting to do something like this. This shit's really cool. Man, so Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the shows, man.
Yeah.
I mentioned you're from Denver. Tell us about your childhood. What kind of music were you into? Who introduced you to STS9? All the
Yeah.
typical questions.
So yeah, so I grew up here. My mom and dad moved here when I was in kindergarten. So like I lived in a big family, but I was like the only one of all my siblings that actually like made it all the way through college without leaving Colorado. And but musically, I was in band, and then I was in jazz band in middle school, and like often, like I'd love to find my middle school jazz band, director to be like, you actually probably did more for me to enjoy the music I enjoy now than lots of other people, But so I loved playing jazz, but I just wasn't very good, and it wasn't really my number one passion. It was just something I got to do, but like, so that's kind of where I like that's what really strikes me about STS9 is just how like it's just an insane group of musicians, and it's like I love being introduced to a band or seeing a band that's like that, and that's always been kind of my thing. But so so basically I graduated from high school in '91, and so I went to school at various schools. I spent a year at Regis College, and then I went to Boulder. And Boulder, I was introduced to the Grateful Dead, and and it's unfortunate. I'm one of the unfortunate Grateful Dead fans that could have easily seen Jerry, but it just didn't happen, right? And like I was 95. I was at Western, and Jerry passed away, and I kind of got a little salty about jam band music for a little while, And I listened
Sure.
and but at the same time, I had these roommates that were super into Widespread Panic,
Hell
and
yeah.
just played them
Hell
all the
yeah.
time. And so, bam, Hook was in. I was a huge Panic fan well, I'm still a huge Panic fan. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to say that, but um, it was like one of those things, and this is kind of relates to how I got into STS9 is like the years, and I'm like, I don't mean to sound like the old crusty guy, like, oh, back in those years, it was amazing.
Hey, we love that shit on this show. Yeah, to get into
But
it.
like the years 1997 to 2002 Widespread Panic were like magic when Mikey was still alive, and like I was counting shows, following set lists. I was so into it. And then like when Mikey passed, like I became kind of that like salty fan. And but I like would I would still go to the shows, but I wouldn't like them or be upset with George McConnell or whatever, this or that. And then at the same time, so I mean that's how I first saw Soundtribe was they opened for Widespread Panic, and I had honestly forgotten that even happened. And then like somebody posted somewhere a clip of Jeffrey playing with the band in Oregon, and I was like, well, I mean, wait a second, like if they were in Oregon, like I was part of that run. I lived in Seattle, so I went and looked, and sure enough, I was at it. And then as soon as I saw that, like the memories just came flooding back to like, oh yeah, now like I remember that because like I'd gotten to the show early that night because I wanted to be really close, and we were on the floor, and I remember being like blown away by Zach, and he was like 2000, he looked like a little high school kid.
He
And
Yeah.
basically
I remember
was.
even being struck by that even then. But so I knew that like at that point I knew they were super talented group of musicians, and then I was like they were on my radar. And then what really got me about them is it was like 2004, and I'd gone back to school to and it was right when you were able to like find like so I could find STS9 soundboards, or at least one or two like on archive.org, right? And I think that was probably and it was like really easy. They're like the easiest band to burn a CD of, right? And so then I went and saw him one time in Seattle with my old friend Brian, and even then I was like, wow, this is really amazing. But then it like that also kind of corresponded to a time in my life where, I became a teacher. I saw a whole lot less music, lived in Washington State. So already kind of a desert for really good bands. And every year though, we would go to the Summer Meltdown. And so they actually showed up in 2015 at the Summer Meltdown. And that was right after Leslie and I had gotten married, and it was like magic. And there was like a group of like five of us, and we still see shows together today. We call ourselves the OG5, and like we were all like, we're never gonna miss these guys again. And like it kind of I was making fun of them because like that was the year after that we moved to Denver, and I'm like, we've seen like 60 some shows since they've played in Seattle last time. And so
Yeah.
that's a long time to not play up there, except for maybe a set here or there at a festival. So, but that's how I got into them. And then, you know, lately here, it just seems like after the pandemic, it's like for whatever it's possible now, I just know I want to be there, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like, and that's what I was kind of get back to is like, and that's what really hooked us, both me and my wife, in like 2015, 2016 time, or like maybe the first time we saw them at Red Rocks, and that's when they had the choir and everything, right? That I was just
Oh, we are big fans of that show here.
Yeah,
Yes.
we
I
are.
love
We
that
are
show.
the
That was like
high. We have the highest
that
words to say
super
about
highlight
that.
show for me. That was maybe my fifth time seeing them or something, and so
Wow.
One,
it
two,
was
three,
just like
four, five, sixth.
sixth. Okay, yeah, and I was just completely blown away, and that magic, like I still like I'm chasing that with these guys, and then they keep delivering like every time. It seems
Yeah.
it's every time that I see them, it's like something new and something crazy and something amazing, and yeah, I'm hooked.
That's high praise from a guy who saw as many Mikey shows as he did with Widespread Panic. Like it's um it's validating for people like me and Scotty who never saw someone like Mikey. Where like probably the most magical thing that we've seen is STS9, and to hear someone like you to be able to say that is huge. I think for both of us. But no, I'm with you, man. Like the pandemic, it did two things. It made the band even better.
Yes.
Like they just leveled up their own skill set and they've become even more like especially like right after the pandemic. It was so jazzy. Like it was like this is like and unlike any SCS9 I've ever heard. It's 3.0 birth of a new era, but like what the pandemic did too is like it like that sense of FOMO for anything that was happening, like heightened, right? You're
Yes.
like, oh,
Yes.
I've been through a year and a half, 2 years of not seeing shows. I don't want to do that again, right? So it's kind of this
Oh
happy
yeah.
medium of both of them. So,
And,
I
and
don't want to
I
give that up, at this point either now, because it's like
yeah,
led me to like, I used to be a lot more reserved. Well, and I've never, like, that's not true. I was just as wild at shows back then, but more social since the pandemic at shows,
yeah.
and like willing to talk to people, meet people and things like that, and that's
Mhm.
been also really cool. So,
Yeah, I think another thing that it's done just in terms of the band is it's created. I don't. Desperation's not the word I'm looking for. A hunger, like or maybe just an appreciation for the moment. That it seems like they're making up for lost time and
Mhm.
almost creating on a level that feels proactive to the future. I don't know.
Yep.
It feels like it did something to them too, and
mhm.
I guess it goes back to that thing that Zach always says about that symbiotic kind of back and forth. But I think it's if it's not spoken of, it's certainly understood on both sides of it. I think that's a cool conversation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very profound for sure. Well, let's get into it. We got quite a bit of music to get into here. So let's hop into Pittsburgh, technically McKees Rocks, which is just outside of Pittsburgh. The band made a return. They hadn't been to Pittsburgh since 2017. I'm trying to look up McKees Rock. I don't think they'd been to this venue either. The
Mm-mm.
Roxian Theater, which I think is just on the city limits of Pittsburgh. Have you guys been to Pittsburgh?
If I
Never.
if I have, it was when I was real young. I don't remember.
Pitt,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is a cool fucking city. It
Really?
really is. Yeah. So when we used to drive out to the Outer Banks when I was a kid, we'd stop a lot of the times in Gettysburg to do a lot of the Civil War tours, or we'd go somewhere in Shenandoah. And then one year we stopped in Pittsburgh on the way because we'd go up the Pennsylvania Turnpike and everything like that to get down through up through Virginia. Um, Yeah, you're going through the mountains on the turnpike and it's in the middle of Pennsylvania, right? It's I wouldn't really call it East Coast. It's more of a Midwest feel for sure. Um, and then you go into this tunnel. It's a pretty long tunnel, probably like a half-mile tunnel. And then you come out and it's just this city surrounded by rivers, right? And like all in one valley. It's a pretty crazy moment to come out of that tunnel. And I'm sure some of the people that are listening at the show might have made that drive. But that in itself is a really cool thing about the city. Best ballpark I've ever been to, for sure. And I've been
Really?
to quite a few. PNC Ballpark is the shit. That place is awesome. The people are super friendly, and the food's outrageous. There's fucking French fries on all the sandwiches and shit like that. You've got the the ketchup capital of the world, right? The Heinz factory.
Oh,
And
yuck.
Scotty, this one's for you. Before Jay gets too old, I mean, fuck, I was 12 or 13. Like the coolest fucking children's museum in the world. Absolutely amazing. So
Man,
cool
I
little
have to make
city
a
here.
trip.
Yeah, it'd be fun. But yeah, getting to the Roxy Theater, and we're starting off 5 shows in 5 nights, right? So a lot of expectations, especially coming off a canceled show on the Tuesday. It would have been a really quick turnaround from Sunday to Tuesday for anybody that was doing that. But yeah, Scotty, we get one of your favorites to open things up. You don't say, huh?
I love You Don't Say. I have no problem with You Don't Say. And wasn't or You Don't Say into really what a
No,
standalone.
just stand alone, which
Okay.
that's unique.
Yeah.
And taking a listen to it, they added a little bit of a modular kind of locomotive to it near the end of it. that got it going a little bit and kind of put it into a bookend as opposed to, kind of going, we've seen them do it into March quite a bit. And then you kind of get that second start to the show with the Really What here. Man, it seems like this song has reached a different gear since the Northwest run. Was it Seattle? They played Really What? Every time they are playing this song, it is special. I don't know if this one is quite as good as the one from Atlanta, but I mean, every time they're laying it down.
And an interesting similar vibe to that starter. We I don't know if we called it a kind of a false start in Atlanta with the peach tree that was just like boom, and then almost like you said, felt like a restart. Very similar on this one. Not a good or a bad thing, just an interesting pattern that we're starting to see with this song. And then we get into our, I guess, not technically fully a cutting room floor song.
This glass got to some serious business here the second half for sure.
Yes.
This is definitely cutting room floor glass. Not the longest one, but they're getting into that second half of it where it's almost like kind of the jazz break in Aimlessly a little bit, where it really reminds me of that. Brian, do you hear that as well with those two songs? A little similarity.
Well, I haven't. Honestly, I haven't heard this glass enough to like compare it to. But honestly, I haven't ever really thought of that. So I actually have to go back and listen to that, like, those two jazz breaks. But I mean,
Yeah.
I just love song Glass and how like it seems like each time that I heard it, it seemed like it was played at a lot of shows I was at, but there's always like a different like flavor to it. And so
Yeah.
definitely love how it's just gotten like way more like played out and jazzier at the end now. A lot like it was at Mishawaka where they really like where they like really like lengthened it. Like
Yep.
like that's like if they do that more and more often, like sign me up.
Yeah.
You have 16 glasses.
Yeah, like a lot. I've seen a few.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. They keep like adding sections. They're doing different things with it, and they do something different that we've never seen with it this time around with the segue into our first clip here.
Sounds like throwing a flashlight down a hallway. And then the flashlight gets thrown back. She's teasing something and I can't put my finger on it. Oh.
Ooh, give it up for Perk World there. Good God. I mean, some really awesome fucking drum work there. I hope people were shutting the fuck up during that drum break. I hope there were not a bunch of fucking chatting Chads and talking Tinas during that shit. That was special.
Man, Poseidon, let's do a little exercise here, the three of us. Raise your hand if Poseidon is in your top 30 Soundtribe songs.
I guess so, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Top 20?
I don't This is so hard.
Top 20?
I couldn't safely say 20.
I think Poseidon
Mm,
might sneak into the bottom of my top 10. That's the reason
okay.
that I do this. I don't know if I've told this story on here before. I probably have, but we don't play a whole lot of Poseidon, so I might not have. But one of the first times I traveled to see Soundtribe, not the first, but like the first three or four times that I traveled, I was for the opening of Stump Tour in 2013.
13, yeah.
Yeah, it was Louisville, Kentucky. And it was me and a buddy of mine, shout out Stefan. And we stayed in a little shitty Motel 6. And that was where I met Trey Simmons. It was that night. And not Trey Simmons, Trey Ebert. And and he showed me the song Poseidon. I'd never heard it. And he said that if he were to make a list of the three least likely songs that he could ever think of that I would never hear in my life. Um, it would be Poseidon, it would be Call Jam, and it would be Potamus. And
At
within
that
it,
point, he was right. Yeah.
yeah, and within a year of Alana's return, and within two shows of Alana's joining the band with Poseidon, he made her, she made him eat all three of those songs. Um, and for every time I hear this song, I think about that, and it just I don't know. It gives me this overarching gratefulness for what Alana brought to this band. I know this was a song she fought very hard for from the beginning. So just knowing the history of it and knowing how, Nate, how much you love improv. I mean, this thing gets taken apart in a different way and put back together every time it's played. So
Mhm.
I think it has some of the best that STS9 has to offer. I'll stop rambling about this song and let you two talk about it. But I was just thinking about how much I really loved this shit as it was playing.
Yeah, you go ahead, Brian. You into white boy reggae? Well, this ain't
Oh, I
necessarily
mean,
white boy reggae.
White boy reggae,
I
fuck
love
off.
that. That's so perfect.
Hey, we're a day late. Yesterday was 311.
So that's so funny. Well, I mean, it is funny like that. It was like one of those songs like when I was earlier in getting into STS9, like for me it was like getting a Bandcamp subscription was like the defining moment because then I could be like, that's the name of that song. They transition here. That's this. I started picking stuff up a lot more, and it was like. I remember Poseidon being one. I'm like, oh, this one's a banger. Like, I love this one. I've always loved this one. And like, I can like point to a time before I was like Bandcamp and knew the names of songs where I knew that song, right? Even though I
Hmm.
didn't know the name. And like, that's like, so that one that I it's like that's like another like there's when you're talking like top 10 top 20 I will definitely just put it in the list of like I'm never sad to hear that.
No, 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 no.
Sure.
This
Always
is
like
certainly
holy
on that
shit,
list.
like
Yeah.
when they played it last year in Bellingham, right? And like at that festival and that was just like I was like, holy shit, they're playing, they like just coming out with this, and it was like,
Yeah.
and I knew I was like, all right, they're gonna throw it down here, and so it's like, yeah, I don't know, that's one that always gets me pretty juiced up. I will say that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one in Bellingham was a nice little surprise. You don't expect a song like that at a festival like that. It was, and really in any festival set, I'd be willing to bet that you can count on one hand the amount of times Poseidon's been played at a festival. This one brought me back to Red Rocks 2015 a little bit, with like the
That's
aim.
that's a high compliment. This one was really fucking good.
Well, it just had ambience, right? Like a lot of them are like super like dub heavy, like where they're more guitar heavy, like you said, Scotty. Like my mode of STS9 is improv, and like it's almost that pin drop improv that I like, where like man, like they bring it down, like the volume down quite a bit, and it makes that last like crescendo, and they bring the melody back that much more epic. So I'm a sucker for a pin drop Poseidon for sure, and this one tugs at my heartstrings. But yeah, I have a very strong segment to open here. Like to finishing, I would kind of finish this segment off with this oil and water. Um, and you're reading down the list, you're 5 songs in, and like I mean, Glass doesn't even seem like a new song. Since the first time you
Mm-mm.
heard it, it sounded like a classic. Man, you don't say really what Glass into Poseidon, oil and water, and bro, this oil and water, this one and the last one they played in Chicago, both are seeming to pack a little bit of a different punch in that second like funk like kind of drop of it. Really kind of like to me when they brought the water section back, like it was almost a little bit too imbalanced with what they were doing with it in 2014 and 2015, where it was such a heavy funk bomb, almost like a Shock Doctrine or a Hidden Hand, Hidden Fist. And it seems like they've like melded those two parts of the song together really well. And yeah, this one was a standout for sure.
I've always wondered why Oil and Water wasn't more of a real staple
Yeah,
in their live set.
never
Like
really
when
found its footing in their catalog like that. Yeah.
yeah, but to me it is every bit as good as a Some Sing or a Shock Doctrine or any of those songs that kind of tell a bit of a story. Yeah, I think it's very underappreciated. Some of my favorite memories with this band are centered around shows that have an oil and water in the set list. I think it just does something to the shows that it's played in.
Hmm. And then we get a couple of newer songs, Peachtree, Walk the Sky, back to back. Nothing really to write home about these two. But man, that brings us to our next clip, which I think both me and Scotty thought would have been on the new album, but boy, did they bring it for
And
this
that makes us three, so
one. Yeah. How does that one not end up on the album?
I don't know.
Are we fucking kidding
That's
right
like
now?
Arrowhead Jam into Arrowhead Jam. Is that how that goes? It was just like I said
Yeah,
a better way to put
it kind
that.
of went.
It's like the jam's going two directions, and it's like
Yeah, laid on top of each other. I
it's
wrote
like
that down.
yeah, Arrowhead
Yep.
and Arrowhead. Like
Yeah, it's like Arrowhead modular Arrowhead. That's what
yeah,
it sounded
or just
like.
and the
And
mashup. Like I don't know if there's a better way to put that, but
they started with that like guttural like that we've been hearing during like the year infinity like the like just like alien gut shit, and then like Alana lays on the fret tracks, and then it like chills out a little bit like into the modular, and then fucking Phipps takes us for a goddamn ride, and then Hunter fucking comes in with the fucking hero notes, man. Like, I mean,
yeah,
but that's like final form of Arrowhead, I think, finally.
You said her name, but we're gonna say it again because to me we got a pattern here in Pittsburgh, man. Alana is is in a mood tonight.
What did the Pirates
Uh,
ever do to her?
shit, man. I don't know. She's a Michigan and Tennessee person, so she doesn't really have a baseball horse in the race, I guess. But um, good Lord, man, she sounds awesome. And
Yeah.
I don't know if this is it's not just the way she's playing, but I mean she sounds so good in this room. I don't know. There's certain rooms that she just it seems like she stands out a little bit bigger in, and apparently Pittsburgh is one of them.
Yeah.
This is awesome so far from her. She's my standout.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like Arrowhead, I always think back to, and this will get into what the next song is, the moment from the Eastern in 2022, where like people forget. I mean, a lot of people agree that is the best four nights from the band, at least like collectively, that might have ever happened. Um, it opened up that run with an Arrowhead, and they did the thing into Crystal Instrument after. Like they teased Crystal Instrument during that Arrowhead jam, and then there was kind of like not a full stop, but not a segue picking up Crystal Instrument, and that's the same thing we see here. And like, man, these two songs together. I'm trying to figure out what it is like to describe. You know when you get like an Italian hoagie, right? And like the the cheese, the shreddis, and the oil and vinegar and like the red pepper relish like form into one fucking thing, and it's like
yeah, yes,
and it's like the best, like it's fucking heaven in a bite. Like this is what that is sonically, I think. Arrowhead and Crystal Instrument together. Um fuck
It
man.
it's funny. This also answers a little bit of a question that I was going around the lounge, and I certainly was curious about. We had a Arrowhead literally on the artwork for Atlanta,
Yeah.
and people were like, "Why didn't they play Arrowhead in Atlanta?" Well, this is fucking why they didn't play Arrowhead in Atlanta. What a
I
silly thing to ask. It was
the
that thing's going to bed for a while.
that's what I'm scared of. That like when we see this happen to songs like these, is sometimes like we get a little bit of a shell for a little bit, like where they're like, all right, we need to like really think about what this song is again. Like, 'cause- oh man. So yeah, that caps off the first set. I mean, anytime, man, Crystal Instrument first set ender. I mean, that'll send you into set break with a smile on your face for sure. So set two. Yeah, man. I mean, you heard it already. This Moonsocket intro is not quite like anything I've heard in a very long time. And we'll talk about it a little bit more, but like, you guys need to come to realize that these second set openers during these last stretch of shows have been very different from the first set openers. Are kind of running with that trend of like walk out to loop type stuff, you know? And then the
Mm.
second set has been, okay, let's get up there, everyone take their places, right? And it's and one, two, three, like and a hard start on that.
Yeah.
Um And this continues that trend where like I mean it's kind of like reminds me of that Monkey intro where it's just from Atlanta, super extended. Really, they're just patient. I think this whole show so far, and that Poseidon was patient as fuck. The Oil and Water, very patient. That Arrowhead, they really let breathe. And this Moonsocket intro is one of my favorites I've heard in a long time.
Yeah, I think, I mean, because we don't have any more clips from this night, so we can go through the set list pretty quickly. Because I really don't have too many observations about any individual song. I just have an observation about the whole set as a whole. Moonsocket, Minister, Searchlight, Low Swagger, Shaky Ground, Get Loud, Year Infinity, Hubble, Encore, Breathe In. Now, holy shit! As far
Yeah,
as on paper list of songs, not a
that's
single.
a story.
Yeah, I guess, but not a single seg to be had.
Yeah, all
Um,
hard stops. A lot of
all
commas on that
hearts.
set list.
Yeah, and I think honestly, when we're getting nitpicky at the end of the year and we're arguing, it was show of the year, this is going to be the reason that this one doesn't get there because
Yeah, I'm wondering the last time we've seen that no segues in a set.
yeah, I don't know what the reasoning behind it is. Maybe that just wasn't the vibe that they were feeling this night. I think Year Infinity into Hubble could have been fucking really cool. Get Loud into Year Infinity could have been great. If you
Shaky
see,
ground and to get loud. Yeah, like
yeah, I mean
all these could have worked.
right,
Menacer
and
into Searchlight, Searchlight into Low Swag. That would work. Like,
yeah, I mean, if you just have a little bit more work done on a couple of segs that kind of put this set together a little more cleanly, I think this show from top to bottom has a good argument for a show of the year so far.
yeah,
But the way that this second set is executed, I think takes it out of that conversation against like a night two in Atlanta.
yeah,
How
yeah.
do
What
you
are your
feel about
thoughts,
that,
Brian?
Brian?
I mean, like it's interesting just the subjectivity of like trying to say what's like the show of the year, you know?
Oh,
Sure,
Like,
for sure.
sure, and
Yeah,
it's
I
all a
mean,
conversation. I'm
yeah,
just
no,
saying when
totally,
I'm getting
yeah.
nitpicky, I'm
Oh,
going to bring that up.
oh yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like whenever a band does that, I always wonder, like, okay, so there's a point to that, right? That they didn't segue any of the songs, right? Each of
for
them,
sure.
and but just I think more of like. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a mix. Like you brought up this second night in Atlanta, and like that was like by the second set was the first time I'd gotten upstairs that whole weekend, and I was just like, what the fuck am I doing down there? I've been missing all these lasers and shit up here.
Yeah,
And
dude,
so,
that view
you
from up
know,
there was so
but
much better.
and then so yeah, like so that kind of thing is like apples and oranges, But yeah, so I guess it's it yeah, I guess it's that hard to compare because like we always have a running joke that like your favorite show was the last one you were at. That was the best show that
Yeah,
I've been to, and like
right.
so and that's
That's that's a pretty funny comment considering Atlanta Night 2 was literally the last show that I was at. But you're completely right. I think this is a stellar show.
Yeah,
From top to bottom song selection.
unreal playing. I mean,
Yeah.
this
yeah.
this get loud is fucking really good. And they're taking that dun 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 and like mixing in like the boop, 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 and like making
Mhm.
that one like this get loud. I was close to cutting room floor for me. Um, I mean, Your Infinity, they've just been fucking crushing this song. I'm just curious, like, when is Your Infinity, their remix and Your Infinity just gonna become one song, right? Like at the end of the day, it's also Seed in there, right? Like, so like they're playing with their food a little bit with that song. I think that fucking intro should be on the fucking beginning of all of them, unless they're saying it. But yeah, like you said, Brian. I mean, it's all intentional, right? So I'd love to hear their stance on it as to what they were thinking because it's not like these songs wouldn't have worked, you know. Sagging and Chicha. The flow of it on paper looks excellent. So
Also, not for nothing. I mean, we are balls deep in an East Coast run at this point,
yeah,
where they're not, and this is when you get some of the most magical moments when they don't have a couple of weeks to practice a given show or a given couple of shows. Um,
yeah.
there's a little bit of you got to imagine kind of off the cuff set list writing and let's try this here and maybe we haven't had a chance to work on it as
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
So again, not to take away from the greatness of this show. I just think when you're talking about the things that make it that museum quality show that we're talking about, I feel like it missed it by that much.
Yeah. Yeah, this might have a its own this show might have its own category on our next S tier list, but I mean no one's gonna fucking argue with a breathing encore. That might be their
No
best
way.
encore song. I
I
mean,
totally agree.
on
It's
a
my favorite
Tuesday
song.
night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um but no, I mean like yeah, and you wonder how different this show might have looked if they played on Sunday in Philadelphia, right?
Mm,
That could have impacted things as well. But
interesting.
yeah, moving on to the Southeast proper, past the Mason-Dixon line into um what do you call it? Lawn what were they holding up? The torches?
Torch land, right?
In the Torchland territory in Charlottesville. Let's
I,
give Charlottesville some credit, man. That's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I'm not gonna let you fucking do that to Charlottesville, man.
that's hey, that's all I knew about Charlottesville, or that was my first thought. That's not all that I knew, but like that was my first thought was that
Thank you.
thing that happened there, right?
Yeah.
But
You
Man,
fucking Midwesterners, dude.
shaking in my boots and those boys in seersucker shorts and boat shoes, man, with the mosquito lamps. But have either of you been to Charlottesville?
I
No,
have not.
go
No,
ahead.
no, I have not been to Charlottesville.
No,
Um,
I have not. I have heard very good things. I have a lot of friends from Virginia that speak very highly of the Jefferson Theater, and
it's supposed to be like the most beautiful college town in the country. That's what I
yeah,
hear.
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is exceptionally beautiful, and a bit of hollowed ground for the Jefferson Theater.
Yep.
Off the top of my head, I don't know how many shows they have pre Alana, but there is one Charlottesville show from 2015 during that first tour that they
2016,
did.
2014, and they were there
Sorry,
in 14 and
2014.
16. Yeah.
Sorry, the 2014 one is the one that I'm
Yeah.
thinking of that really, for whatever reason, sticks out to me as kind of one of those shows that you had to walk away from being like, well, not only are we going to be okay, we might be a lot better than okay with Alana in tow. That's a very Alana heavy show.
Yeah, yeah, it's the 2014 one for sure. This us opener with a moon socket. Oh, this man, this show is fucking nuts. Yeah, go back to that one if you haven't. But no, we're here to talk 2026. Um, and yeah, speaking of good openers, this us opener and continuing the trend of kind of walk out to loop stuff. This musical story, yes, into Strange Games, into Something. Now, is this the same open? That's what they did in LA. Was it the second night or first night? Right?
It sounds familiar.
Looking it up here.
Yeah, Strange
Yeah,
Games. Some sing remix, some sing port. Yeah.
yeah, doesn't look like they did the musical story.
They
Yes,
d-
but
they did though. Yes. See if you scroll down, it's in the set list.
It
ah,
is.
Yep.
Yep. And I do remember that from that show.
Yeah.
So
I I really like musical story, yes, into Strange Games. I think that's a really fun way to open a show because like the backtrack of like Strange Games over those musical story, yes, samples. It's like a perfect modicum of like what this human dream project is, where it's like meshing the new so well with the old. And then I think something, the remix is one thing, but what it's doing for the original, I think it's making it like that much more appreciated, right? Like fuck, like now you're not just chasing a something, you're chasing an OG something, right?
Yeah.
Um, and really cool to see it. And I know they played something early on in Fort Collins too, right? Right, Scotty?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In the anniversary year of Artifact, it's nice that this is one of those songs that's getting explored in a new way.
Hmm.
I think to me, kind of a bullshit complaint about this song is that it was always kind of the same every time, and you certainly cannot make that argument anymore.
Yeah. Then a nice batch of, I don't know, Golden Gate always seems like such a new song for me. But like it's not at this point. At this point it's fucking what, like 15 years old.
Yeah,
Like Never Never, Golden Gate, Big Basin. Like you look at that on paper and you kind of like group those three as like, okay, some new tracks are hitting, it's new heavy new stuff, but like at the end of the day that's just false. Because Never Never coming from Rave Spell, Big Basin being, I look at that as kind of a batch of songs kind of with Arrowhead, right, that came out of the COVID, kind of were birthed
yeah,
that way, and then Golden Gate in the middle of that. And like you think twice and you're like, that fucking works. You got dance synth heavy Never Never, then kind of like get a little bit of a breathing room with a nice little Golden Gate in the middle, and then like very fucking jazz forward, like insane shit that they're doing with Big Basin right now. I'm seeing a lot of people on Bandcamp are giving this Big Basin a lot of love. And again, I think me and Scotty are still a little bit jaded from that fucking Chicago version. And looking for it to kind of return to that at some point, but people seem to be high on it for sure. What are your thoughts on Big Basin, Brian?
Well, it's funny that you guys talk about that Chicago version a lot, and
Mhm.
that was a night that like we had flown in like early morning that morning to go to that show, and just say I was definitely like feeling it, right? And like if you've ever been at a show with me and you're around me, I don't usually stop moving. And like I was full statue, like holding onto the rail directly in front of Zach for that. And it was like I was somewhere else. And I
Yes.
came back and I was like, that, what was that? And, and I have many theories, but I love hearing you guys talk about that, and then, just in general, that song, like, just like I didn't originally know like the why that song was written, and then to hear like the story of it
Yep.
made the whole
Brad.
thing
Yep.
make sense now, and now like and I say this a lot. If I express any kind of distaste for a song, then it's like the band goes on a mission to make me love it. And I
Yes.
definitely like feel that's what's happening with Big Basin right now for sure. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, they're stretching their legs on it for sure because it seemed like it was either 7 minutes or 14 minutes for a while, and it's kind of finding that like groove in this like 10-minute slot, which I think is lends to it well, unless it's a really huge version. But with the frequency with they're playing it, I think that's a sweet spot for it for sure.
mhm.
Because it's not going to take up too much time in a set if it's something that you've been hearing quite a bit.
Mhm.
Um, and
Man,
the
I don't
story
think I could.
behind it too, it's just
Yeah.
like now I picture that like drum break where like Alana's like playing the bass and Zach's like crack, tack, tack, like of them like scurrying around like the house trying to grab shit and get out of it. And then like you like hear the angst and like emotion around the song.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
It, it brings the story full circle for sure.
Totally.
I don't think I could have said that better, Brian. Almost to a T. That was exactly the train of thought that I was about to articulate. Especially that last part about them kind of going on a mission to make me love something that I otherwise might not have been a huge fan of. The song is really growing on me.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. This one probably hurts the most of cutting room floor. I mean, we've been banging G Funk, and like I feel like G Funk for a long time was always coming out of something, right? Like you
Right.
didn't really get like a full start G-Funk for a while, and we're starting to see a few of those. And oh my God, is it doing something for this song? I mean, it's going from a tease section in Dance in 2015 to, like you're talking about, Scotty, one of those songs like Oil and Water that has sections, it has a composition to it, it tells a story, and like Alana thumping on that intro on the bass to start it out. And like it's it's like evolving from like a West Coast hip hop riff to something like that has a mind of its own. And like
it's acquired a darkness and an attitude
yes.
that
Yep.
it's a tone setter. If it happens in a set, everything afterwards smells different. I don't know.
Like it's almost like Charlottesville got the spooky batch of songs. Like I like
Sure.
G-Funk and Dusk, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, man, if you're getting both of those in different sets, those two songs do something in a set. And it's
you need to go like sage your apartment after that.
yeah, and especially coming off like Never Never Golden Gate Big Basin, like that shifts the mood a little bit.
Absolutely.
And this segue into Equinox. And a lot of these segues that are noted on some of the set lists are a little bit generous, I think. If we're not really calling them segues, more transitions, maybe. This was a true Alana playing Equinox while they're finishing G-Funk. And man, how about Equinox has been the opposite of G-Funk, where for the longest time, the only time we're hearing Equinox is standalone, right?
Yeah.
They've done so much in the past calendar year, maybe calendar year and a half with, I think there was a Pacific Northwest show there, Brian, where that was a Be Nice Equinox or something like that. And then we saw that again in New Orleans, and now we're seeing G-Funk Equinox. I mean, this is out of left field. I would have never fucking drew that up, right? Like, just like insanely executed here. If we're not going to listen to it tonight, but if you have the time to go back to it, yeah, that's some required listening right there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I always felt like Equinox was one of their more improv friendly songs that didn't get explored enough. So
Yep.
it's nice to see a song of that age finally start to get explored a little bit more.
And a song that is just like G-Funk, not tied to any particular album or project, right? Man, to hear a fucking studio version of either of these would be a huge treat.
Yes.
And then I think you don't get this EHM to end the set without that G-Funk. It just doesn't make sense, right? Like,
Yeah.
It kind of bookends that a little bit. So a set that I think took a little bit to get going, but by the end of it, you're like, okay, I need this break for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, boys, continuing the trend of banger second set openers. That brings us to our next clip.
You don't get the fuck out of here, bro. How dare you, David Phipps? How fucking dare you?
It's so hard for me to stop that one, dude.
I know.
Oh
Dude,
man.
coming in on the alien communication part of Mischief is
That's not
just,
fair. You can't do that.
dude, that is like the Harlem Globetrotters against a group of volunteers. Like
Dun,
this
dun,
is
dun,
just,
dun, 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 dun,
yeah, dude,
dun.
they are not playing the same game right now. That is
The
fucking
Washington Generals are fucked.
Go down.
Yeah, they're plus 1,500. But okay, a lot to unpack here. Can we start with that Gob Nugget? What the hell? That was, I mean, Alana is so fucking good at bass guitar. It's not even fair. Like, she is. It makes you think like what would she be doing if she wasn't playing this song? What else would she be fucking playing? It's perfect. Like
Yeah, it's funny because, obviously she can chop it up with whoever wants to chop it up with
nobody
her,
better. No.
and she has.
Yeah.
But it is funny that point that you bring up of like, could she be doing anything? Could she be playing any other type of music consistently that would highlight everything that she is capable of, like STS Nine's music? Nah, I
Yes.
don't even think it's fucking close, dude.
That's the thought I heard when I was hearing this. Like,
Like
right,
you, you,
Brian? Like,
you,
Oh,
yeah,
she's something special. Like, and it's definitely like there's like the technical prowess that she has as a bass player, but it's like there's so much more to it than that, though.
there's personality.
There's that
Like, there.
personality, and it's like, yeah, she's always been like kind of like, and like in a time when I like didn't know names of songs or what was going on, like that she was always like that. Whenever she would get going, like that was like a guidepost. Like I always knew, I'm like, all right, if you can follow what's going on with Alana, you can probably put together what's going on with everything else,
Yep.
and it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's like I would definitely argue he's one of the most talented bass players out there. Period.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
And hand her any kind of bass, and she's gonna blow your mind. So yeah.
yeah. It's funny listening to you talk about it, and we you brought up Panic earlier, and obviously stylistically, her and Schools are not super similar at all, but the word personality that Nate word used earlier, I think.
Unmistakable. Yes,
Right.
both of them. Yeah.
Right. Both of those two carry a weight to them that, if you close your eyes and they play individually amongst 20 other bass players on stage, I guarantee you I can find both of them every single time.
Well, school's a little bit less weight to schools after Ozempic,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Thank God.
when I introduce Panic Friends to STS9, I always am like, all right. I mean, there's really only way I can say this is she's like female David Schools. But
Mm,
because of like what she brings to everything that's going on,
right.
like
Not because they're similar, but what they bring to the table.
they're
Yeah.
they're they're similar in the sense of like what they bring that
Mhm.
like, yeah, and it's like you're gonna walk away, that's gonna be like a highlight, like you're, yeah, especially making that comparison, some of my old friends that and I have the same habit of like buying a ticket and taking someone to their first show just to be like, you don't know what you're missing, right? And
Yeah.
that's always like a standout comparison, and it's interesting because like they don't sound the same at all, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
like the role they play in the experience in the show is like so much the same, and that's like even my own personal connection with it. Really, like I would say, like that's what Alana has done for me, and like that's kind of where I'm like. It's funny that you bring up Panic in Schools because like that was like that same kind of like connection. Like what really drew me into this band a lot more was Alana. Not
Yeah, because
not
you're like, oh, the bass guitar can sound like that. Like, wow.
yeah.
Like, because
Yeah, yeah.
in so much of the music that you hear, like the bass guitar is designed to blend in, right?
Yeah.
Like where, it's almost sacrilegious to make it stand out. And, that's how they wrote a lot of their catalog around Murph too. But because he was as much of a front man as any bassist too. But now you bring in, yeah, like you said, the technicality of it too, Brian, and like just like her chops and like her classical training and her understanding of music theory and shit like that. And it sends them to another fucking level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then, dude, this Mischief, I haven't quite heard like. So it's a half Mischief, right? But like, it's the fucking fattest half Mischief.
Yeah, it's the good half.
Well, I mean, it's like, dude. I mean, okay, so Hunter Brown. This brings me back to like the first time I heard Mischief in like 2011, and then like the first time I heard it was on a soundboard. It took me probably 50, 60 plus shows to get my first Mischief because like. Even though the band at that time wasn't playing at a high level, like Hunter, what carried them was like Hunter was even more so than he's been lately, a tone master, right? Like he could play one note and it's like that milky, thick tone. And like, I think in the past few years where he's learned to play guitar better and like play more notes, we've seen the tone like kind of take a little bit of a backseat, but like here it's like a perfect fucking marriage of the two things where like on the parts where he's strumming a note or a few notes at a time, it's like thickness behind it, right? Like it brings me back to like the first time I heard a Reemergence or a Mischief where I'm like, oh my, like I know that guitars isn't hitting us with a face melting solo, but like there is something about like the way he's making that guitar talk and sing. And like the drum and bass section, they got into that same mode that they got into in the Jabez from Fort Collins, where it's just like, is this sound check right now? Like, where the fuck are we? Like, so an unbelievable ride to start the second set here. They give you no chance to fucking catch your breath with an instantly right after that. Just sneaking that in there. Like that wow. That I remember I woke up the next day and I saw this set list on paper. And I was like, what the fuck? I saw those three like fucking Gobnugget, Mischief instantly. And then yeah, back into that kind of like tone shifter of a song in the middle of the second set with this Dusk. And I mean, we at this point we could clip any Dusk that they play. It's just really kind of like growing hair on his chest. But yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, just man, that's just like I love that song so much, right? And like I maybe you could tell me when it first really appeared. Like I can't remember like the first time I've heard Dusk. But it's like one of those ones where it's, that just like it's almost like poking you in the brain, and it's like in a really good way. And like
I like that.
Yeah, I like it's just like I like the dark stuff. I like to make the joke about like scaring the hippies. Like this is like that kind of song, and so like I'm always down for any Dusk, like that's and I love that. Just like and it's like I already just know it's going to be a vehicle for so much more going forward, it's so and it's always one where I'm like, oh yeah, here we go, let's scare the hippies.
Where are we going now?
Red Rocks 2021 was its debut.
Yeah, the same night. Was it the same night or the night after we heard Big Basin for the first time? So it's kind of in that crop of songs, along with Arrowhead as well. So seeing a lot of that in these first two nights. And then another true segue into our next clip here.
does.
There you have it. Orbital 3.0 Orbital. They've done it. They 3.0'd it. Oh, fine.
I mean, almost like a callback to an Orbital of yesterday's too, because not a whole lot of modular there. I mean, that is straight up five.
Oh, it's
people,
OG.
Yeah, 5 people on their instruments with no added 6th member in the modular, and we love a good modular jam, but definitely worth noting that we got there with that one without even a hint of it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Go ahead, Brian.
I was say, give me any time where it's like you're in space. Absolutely, like, man, this sounds like we're in space. Like, and I love all the space songs for that reason. Like, they're all like my biggest jams. Like, that's like that like near the end of that. Like, it's literally like his Phipps is like going out of that, and it's just like I could fucking imagine just flying the spaceship out there.
The wind-ups, it's and Scotty, the intro to this Orbital is about as OG as I've heard. It was so it was in between clipping that part and the transition from Dusk into Orbital, because the intro is so patient. It's very similar to that Moonsocket intro that we heard the night before, where it's just they're just letting it breathe. And you heard the build up into the drum and bass break. Typically you're getting right into the da 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 da. There were
oh my gosh,
4 extra measures in there.
I wrote it down. You saw me stand up with the anticipatory dance, and if
I was there, that would have got me too, for sure.
It's those little things, man, that I love so much about this band. That'll never happen again. That.
Or it might be the new norm. Who knows?
More than likely, it is just something they decided to do once. And that's what's really cool is, those extra 4 stanzas added so much stank and difference to that song. Outside of the huge jam that followed after it, where it's those little moments that are so worth obsessing over with this band.
Oh yeah, I mean, they got into Undiscovered Worlds and that drum and bass jam. I think what's important too is how much the preceding Dusk does for that Orbital.
Yeah,
does it allow them to get into that dirty of an Orbital where Hubble and Orbital can be, pretty similar, right? But Orbital tends to be the angel on your shoulder. Hubble tends to be the devil on your shoulder a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Where this truly got into bad conscious shit. Phipps just in his space dungeon mode in this one. I know the Biscuits fan talks about their Unstungeon. I like to talk about Intergalactic Prison, where fucking Phipps put you there quite a bit. Fuck, man, Jesus Christ, yeah, and they finally kind of let you out of it after this, right?
And interesting what you say about that, that the darkness that we talk about so often, that Dusk is able to provide. You have this darker combo in Dusk Orbital, and then you've got a literal light combo and Presence of Light and Walk to the Light.
Yeah, it's Orbital had to shake the Dusk dust off of it, off of this set to get to that point, and it shook it off for sure. But yeah, I like this interplay, right? Presence of Light into Walk the Light. That's fun. Some fun guitar in there. I like that a lot. And then Lift You Up. And this one got to it pretty quickly with the modular section, because I think they really used it as a launching pad for our last clip from this night.
right, Jeffrey.
Holy fucking shit.
Say what you said before the podcast about this one, Nate.
Yeah,
That
you did
is,
say that. You said
I
that.
if it isn't quite obviously the best Vapors that has ever been played. That is, if they're doing that, talk about make me love it, Brian.
Yeah,
Talk
yeah,
about make
yeah.
me love it, dude. I mean, if Vapors wasn't already coming around on you, like, holy fuck, man. That
Guys, this is by far the longest Vapors.
yeah.
By far. The
Was the
second
other Chicago is pretty long.
St. Augustine in 2017 was the second longest at 9:27.
Oh, wow.
This one
Wow.
clocks in at 13:29.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, man, I don't. I mean, I welcome anyone listening to this to bring me your
They
argument.
wait, hold, that might not be on there because the one from Radius is 14 minutes and 38 seconds.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's not labeled on soundtribe.us. We can leave that in here and make me look silly, but
Oh no, that's not your fault.
yeah,
I just like that is we keep going back to that run all the time, but like the Vapors from Radius wasn't like that one. That was they had cooked that up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where to start there. Jeffrey fucking Lerner. Oh
yes,
my
that's where we
God.
should start.
Yeah. I mean, he is just like it's like he's in the musical Stomp, like, it's like banging
Yeah,
on a trash can or something. Like, um, and then the section where I wasn't there, but what I understand is happening, where it almost sounds like evasive a little bit,
hmm
is Phipps is doing his thing where he stands up and he's on his modular thing, and Alana a lot of times when she kicks on the fret tracks, right, like she's still playing the bass, right,
right,
like she took the bass out of it, and she is playing those longer like synth notes, like the
right.
because you'll notice that like the modular line is carrying the bass line at that point, right? And they like switch roles a little bit. Like, man, what I would have given to see this happen, and like Zach must have lost a tooth during this shit. Like the headbanging that must have been happening. Like, holy shit. I mean, yeah, I'm at a loss for words, guys. Honestly, I don't know if either one of you can help me out here.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of said everything I need to say about this one. I invite somebody to show me a better Vapors than this. I'm completely on board with your statement out the gate. I think we have a best of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have to agree with that 100%.
Goated. They'd have to be a time traveler, Scotty, because they'd have to be coming from the future and some other thing that might happen. Because, oh man, that's just if they're doing that with vapors, they're a problem. Because that's great, dude. This second set, just reading it again, Gobnugget into mischief, instantly dusk into orbital, presence of light into walk the light, lift you up into vapors. Fucking Wednesday night in Charlottesville. Jesus Christ. And then, man, a King Pharaoh's Tomb encore. First one since Radius. First one since October 19th, 2024. And it had been a long time since, it had been about a year prior to that one. So hopefully that song finds itself back into regular setlist rotation. I mean, everyone loves it. A whole lot of more white boy reggae shit.
I was just about to say, speaking of white boy reggae.
Man, Charlottesville, what a treat. All right. Let's get into the third night here. We finally got some boots on the ground here on the show. Brian, will you grace us, like, set the scene a la weather update style here? Bring us to the Research Triangle. Bring us to Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Wow. That was my first experience in being in that area, Chapel Hill, Durham. And like, man, what a fucking awesome place to go to school. I can't even imagine. Like, there's a whole like side story about how I got to walk through the entire campus the next morning because I was on a harebrained mission for Bojangles, but that's like totally separate.
Smart man.
Which I did not get, but that's like I said. But
what do you mean you didn't get it? You were in North Carolina. There's one on every corner.
The Uber dropped me off at the Bojangles on campus, and it wasn't open till like 7:30, and it was like 6:30, and we needed to get back and get packed and get to the airport. So I just took the opportunity to walk right back through the middle of campus and straight into downtown. And man, that place is awesome.
So
yeah,
okay,
Chapel Hill's beautiful. Yeah.
Is it Chapel Hill or is it Durham?
Well, Durham is like 8 miles away, right?
Okay, so I wasn't
Chapel
sure
Hill.
which one. It's Chapel Hill, UNC.
Yeah,
Carborough is to Chapel Hill as Urbana is to Champaign. Like how the Canopy Club's in Urbana. This is like probably, I would say, the Canopy Club of UNC.
Okay. Like literally, I was surprised at how close to campus it was. Like I thought, like when I explained to people when I came back where I was, I just said I was in Chapel Hill. And like, okay, So
that's how Zach addresses the crowd too on the soundboard too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that whole experience getting there, that was riding the train. Mm-hmm. It's been just make the most out of the blizzard. I'm like, I am just beyond stoked that I'm going to get to see this show. It turns out that my wife was already going to be there, so she already had plans, had the hotel. We had like scouted out. We want to stay right at this. I think it was the Hampton. It's like literally in the same parking lot, right? And like just like everything had been working perfectly. For everything, and I kept just preaching the whole weekend of like, or the whole week, like, you got to just make the best of this, right? Make lemonade out of Nor'easter, right? Because you could let this ruin your week or you can make it the best week of your life. And, and so we get to the point where it's like, it's maybe like 5:30 in the afternoon. And, we get a phone call from our dog sitter. And she's like, your dog is not, he's really sick, and so we asked her to send us some pictures, and the pictures, he was pooping blood. And so I was like, yeah, you got to take him to the ER right now. And so like right away, like, our friend Matt from San Francisco joined us. I was like, you need to just go to the show. Right. I'm like, real life came crashing in really, really hard right before the show. And, it worked out okay, right? Like he's okay. It was just extreme.
Was that the friend that we just met?
Yeah, that's the little guy you just met, right? And he's 3, and like back in January, his brother passed, and he, so he hasn't been away from us at all, and he does good for a few days with the sitter, but we didn't really anticipate switching sitters in the middle and that he would have basically a freak out, which he had freak out. And this, I was really thankful. The vet was awesome. Once she understood that, like, all right, we're in North Carolina and you're talking to our sitter here, and we're waiting to go into a concert. And by now, they're probably started the first set, right?
Yep.
And that's very unlike either of us to not be like in line an hour before they open doors, right? So, and but she says, just don't, whatever you do, don't get on a plane and come home. Your dog's gonna be okay. Like we won't even like need to see him again until a couple days from now. And please. And I think she's hinting, yeah, this is already going to cost you a lot of money. You don't need to jump on a plane right now. And then so, it was honestly like Leslie and I see like almost all the shows we've seen together. There's just a few that we've seen that we haven't been together for. And, we're always just like so full of energy before the show and everything. And it was like such like a slap, to have to like
Yeah.
process this out, and I'm calling people in the show, like, who do you know in Denver that can watch our dog tomorrow? I'm calling out every favor. And so like that put me in a pretty like weird headspace going in, to be honest with you. And yeah, like, and I don't know, like that was my first time in the Cat's Cradle. And so by the time we walk out of the hotel, right, everybody's inside. So I don't know what the front and back door is. And so Leslie and I walked right into the back where the band was coming out from set break. And just say I was pretty embarrassed, and that because it was like we could tell like that is not where that's not space where we need to be coming in on them. You know what I mean? Like
That's not your door. Yeah.
I'm like on the phone with our friend, like he's gonna be okay. How the fuck do you get in here? And and quickly it's like we need to get away. And I was like, it was just like a super crazy, like real life moment, where it's like we had all this energy from the dog and everything, and then we get in the show for the second set, and it was like I had heard that the first set was a little shorter, and I don't know if you guys knew anything about what happened there, right? But man, it was just like,
What do you mean?
Well, what we had
45
definitely
minutes long.
heard, Scotty, is that there were some technical difficulties. That this venue is a beloved place, right? Probably just like my Canopy Club, but
let's call it what it is. It's a fucking dump. Every single person that we have talked to, and we're not gonna give specifics of who said anything, but across the board, this place was a character play. One that they had played very, very, very early in their career, and was definitely a cool thing to come back to. And obviously, you get some of the coolest vibes in those dark, disgusting, dingy rooms. But
yep. 04 was the last time they were there. Yeah.
Yeah. Just kind of a a disgusting place to go see a Sound Tribe show, and that's okay. We love those places.
I love that kind of stuff. I mean, as soon as I was in there, I'm like, fuck, this feels like I'm in college. Like,
yep.
Like feet are going to be sticking to everything by the end of the night. The bar tab was ridiculously cheap too. I will say that. Like I was like, it's not the bar tab at the Eastern or the bar tab at the Capitol. It was just like, really? That's like free.
Yeah. All right. I should have drank more. Yeah.
Well, and at that point, it was like I'm in a hurry because I haven't drank anything. So it was like I get in there and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
So, but.
Yeah, I don't think I think that works perfectly. We don't need to talk about the first set a whole lot. A standout in there was this Arigato is on the cutting room floor. But from what I can understand, that first set probably was 45 minutes because there were probably some technical difficulties. Dude, STS9 cannot be an easy band for an old venue to play host to, right? Like there's so much that can go wrong. And I'm sure that a little bit did. But man, they come out with that second set and like, man, if we know anything about this band, if anything goes wrong earlier in the night, the rest of the night is going to be fucking absurd. And you get this 3-song segment that was sending shockwaves through the internet. Like, this can't be true, right?
Which 3? Like
the F word in the tooth water song.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, that couldn't have been the original plan, and I think there were some uh like pictures circulating of the original set list, and I think it had been split up a little bit differently. But they probably came out, they were at set list, like they went back to the drawing board. They're like, fuck, I mean, that didn't really go the way we thought it would. Let's fucking come out with fucking 14, twice as many songs in the second half of the night and start with F word, tooth, water song. What? Like, you just don't see that happen, like, anymore. Man,
That's really interesting. I didn't. I knew that they were having some issues in terms of some crackling and stuff like that. I did not realize that they actually had to cut the first set short. And looking
Yeah.
at this on paper, God, it makes so much more sense. This reminds me very much of Night 3 Mishawaka in 2023 when
Yeah.
they had to cut that first set short, and then it was just fucking gang busters on that
Nonstop.
second
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. I
Yeah,
totally
and
feel that for
I
sure.
heard it wasn't quite a college age crowd either, Brian. I heard it was a lot of 30 to 50-year-olds, like a great crowd too. Can you speak to that?
I met far more college kids at the Eastern, like
Yeah.
a lot of more kids there. No, it was like, and one of the things that we both Leslie and I really loved about going to these shows on the East Coast was like, not knowing a lot of people,
Yep.
but still, like, there was definitely a few people that we knew were going to be there in North Carolina, and we ran into them, and it was fucking awesome, but just like I kept looking around being like, this is like my demographic, and like really happy that whether these people like knew, hey man, I'm coming to Sound Tribe tonight, or if they just knew that, like, oh, you don't miss a show like this at the Cat's Cradle, and like, cause like even the guy at cause I ruined my shoes in New York, so I had to buy new shoes, and there was like a little Fleet Feet like right next to the Cat's Cradle, right, and I'm over there buying shoes, and he's like, well, what's going on with this band? I've never seen a truck like this come in here, and like, and I was like, well, if you can get a ticket, you should come, and he talked to us about, the Dead shows he saw in the 80s. And we were both like, if you can get a hold of a ticket, you should come in. And you could tell he was really curious, like, what is about to happen in there, so.
Yep. That's really cool perspective for sure. Yeah, this tooth for me, it had been a while, right? Let me pull that up here. But the tooth for me served kind of the same purpose as Atlas from Aspen, right? Or kind of how they've been playing Atlas recently. Yeah, it had been 6 months. Dylan was the last tooth, that encore, like the tooth socket. Just like not like jammed out like one we saw in at Camp Elsewhere, which was the highlight of 2024 for us. But like just excellently executed. This tooth was just start to finish chef's kiss. The fucking samples were turned up, like very glitchy, block variant type shit. So that was really cool to see. And then, I mean, Water Song, that's the key to my heart. But yeah, then we get into a little bit of a rarity from some of the newer stuff, and that brings us to our first clip from this night. Three words, gentlemen. Here for it. Um,
Do you did the have we answered this already? Did the concept for the human dream come up after Chromolite and specifically the title? Because this track,
no. Remember the New Year's run
Yeah,
at the Fillmore was titled "The Human Dream."
and
wasn't that in
that
22, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
2022, and then Chromolite was 2023, and this song they titled "Human Dream" is on Chromolite. Played for only the seventh time this night, and longer than any other version by about 3.5 minutes as well, with a little bit of a modular jam tacked onto the back of it, and like a little bit of a modular backbone infused into the hook, so to speak, as well. I think this one's kind of like rounding out the edges a little bit here. But like one that when I heard for the first time at that Chromolite Redlock show, I was like, "Whoa, that's something." Like we're cooking with gas there. And that one I've been a little bit disappointed to not hear as much as I thought I would. But they've obviously been in the lab for it. Yeah, Brian, your thoughts?
Right. Well, that was one when there was discussion about are they going to put any of these Chromolite songs on this album,
Right.
and is Human Dream going to be on it? Like, and I mean, if they're going to treat any song to like the studio, I'd love to hear them treat this one. But,
Yep.
what I was thinking in the show was like, like I've been fortunate to see most of the Human Dreams, right? Like I wasn't in Charleston, but I was in Montana. I was on Jam Cruise. I was at Red Rocks, right? And it's like I was at Atlanta where I just blurted out before the show, "Yeah, I hope they open with Human Dream." And then
Yeah.
they did. And I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit, and
That was crazy when they did that.
yeah,
Because that was the second time they played it, right?
yeah, it
Yeah.
was. And
Yep.
it's like and it's like even in Aspen, right? They definitely like they went into Sky High there, right? So it wasn't like
Yep.
a standalone Human Dream, right? So I'm here at the show and I'm like holding on, tapping, I'm like, what do you think it's gonna be? It's gonna be something like, because it's like, what are they gonna do with this now, right? And then
Right.
it was like, then they just finished the song, like wrapped it up like standalone, and I was like, this song is like that. It was that good, right? That
Yeah.
need to go into anything like that stood for itself, as
Hmm.
like a highlight moment, and like I just, yeah, loved it.
Yeah.
Really, really stoked that they brought that out there.
Yep.
I think this would have been a completely fair play for a studio version on the Human Dream.
Yeah. People would have complained. There would have been some
Yeah,
bitching. Oh, they
shut
already released that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
on a live album, like
yeah.
what? That it's not the same thing. People are goofy.
But in typical STS Stein fashion, they zig when you think they're gonna
That's true.
zag. They be zigging. Ziggy Marley and the gang. Um, then a fun little combo here of Like I Do and To Feel It. I don't know if we've seen that before. I like that a
Is
lot.
that is that not the original inclination of this with
Ooh, from Rave Spell?
yeah.
Let me look that up, the track listing. That's a good question because that's the last time I can remember hearing them together. No, Feel It was the sixth song. Like I Do is the third song on Rave
Okay.
Spell. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, what a night. God, it brings a smile to my face every time we talk about it. Little did we know, a fucking album drop pretty much. But yeah, I like that. Like I Do and To Feel It. I Feel It is so fucking good, dude.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
This is a song that I would love to see in and out of all different type of funk jams.
It's
If you
it's
re
a it's a three point or the triple threat stance type of song for sure.
Yeah, if they were to do another funk night kind of a la that Nashville Halloween show in 2015, I think this would or 2014, I guess. I think this would be a song that would be included on that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I agree. That's a great idea. Maybe who knows, 10th anniversary is already passed. God, that's fucking so crazy. It's 2014 was 12 years ago. So
Anniversary right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, Scotty, you got your wish. You talk about feel it going into things. How about we feel this one out? Mhm. Ryan, does that section of music melt all your worries away?
Yes,
When-
yes. It's that whole I had a moment there for sure. The band talks a lot about the connection with the crowd, and the crowd and the band crowd feed each other, right? And I've always felt that, right? Felt that was real, but it was during Feel It. And I look over at my wife and I'm like, man, I can just feel Call Jam coming. And it was I don't even know if I know I said it to her, and it was weird. I got this weird feeling right away, oh, it's definitely gonna happen, right? And then they go into Hidden Hand, and it's that thought just escaped my mind, right?
Yeah, you do. The Hidden Hand jam, you don't even think Call Jam in it. Where when they've done that in the past, you can hear it coming from longer away.
It was. I think you get about 10 or 15 seconds, you can hear it coming, and before they just drop into the Call Jam, right? And it was it was just strange. It was because I've never felt connected to the band like that, right?
Yeah.
It was almost did they fucking hear me say that? There's no way they heard me say that, but it was
and it's almost like you said it and you didn't really even mean it. You just
God,
said it.
Well, fat Call Jam here, right? I'll always say that, right? So, right. So then, right as they're about to hit it, I'm like, can you hear it? Can you hear it? It's coming, it's coming. I'm screaming at people around me, and nobody knows yet. And then it's then they drop into Call Jam, and it's oh yeah, and it was like you said, it was kind of this build up and just release, and then I get to these points in shows sometimes where I'm just so all I can do is just stand still and air guitar to Hunter.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I'm capable of, and everything else is just happening around me. And that definitely happened during the Hidden Hand, which was it's I seek those moments out too. That's a really special way to experience it, right? Because
you're soaring like Jordan from the free throw line at that point.
And usually I'm moving everywhere. I'm I'm you can't, and just to be able to make yourself stand still and just and that's what was happening there. I still, even at the end of this song, I was like, whoo, that's exactly how it felt there.
Goosebumps, dude. Listen to this, guys, and tell me that this section intro, human dream, right? They talk about this is a concept, this is a mindset, enter this human dream with us, like we do, like I do, and feel it into this shit.
Yeah, dude.
I think that tracks, but bro, David Phipps has entered the chat, but him and Hunter Brown took you to Paris on this one, dude. What the fuck? Landscaping Brett. Oh my God. Yeah, I can't think of a Hidden Hand Call Jam Hidden Hand more well executed than that one. That one is special.
The only one that comes to mind is the one that they did in Charlottesville, over 10 years ago.
It's a really good one in Santa Cruz as well, but I'm not quite like that. Yeah. I agree, Scotty. Yeah. They're on their Southeast shit.
That was fever pitch for me. That's run through wall shit after that, where you're just so pumped up on what they're doing. And
and they elevate you to that place, right? And then they drop the Better Day remix, which is when you're in that place, I feel like that song is perfect to be in that place where you're just grinning from ear to ear, and it's just storms are gonna come and storms are gonna go.
I'm thankful it was the remix, because I would have just sobbed had it just been Better Day, right? And it's that. Seriously, when the next time we get it, I'm gonna sob, because it's it's taken on new meaning. That song takes on a new meaning. Just recently, losing our other dog and everything, and that so we even said if they play Better Day, we're gonna fucking lose it. And then so they gave us the remix instead. And I almost felt all right,
thank God.
I'm gonna cry in front of the band tonight.
I already barged in backstage, right? What a night.
Yeah.
My God, man. Well, dude, what this is a roller coaster of emotions for you, man. Glad you made it through it. And then, hey, the world's gonna keep turning, right? World go around. This Zach is really funny. He's talking about how there's trough urinals in the back. He's like, yeah, we got the trough urinals. We felt at home, and he does the people people in the front, people in the back, people back here, and then he
Yeah.
goes, and we got people behind the fucking pole, which kind of sucks. Like,
Yeah. When he said that, I was like, oh, damn. But,
hearing what we heard from people, and then hearing that Zach made a whole lot of sense for sure. I
oh,
think.
yeah. The,
Where
the trough urinals thing threw me off because, like, very, that it's interesting in that, like, because we were only there for the set, right? So I managed to just not have to go to the bathroom, which I was really lucky. So I never saw him. But,
Dude, that is so funny that
if
you
you
talk about that.
if you grow up in Denver, I don't know about other places, but the old Mile High Stadium used to have those trough urinals.
Oh yeah, they got him at Wrigley Field in Chicago.
I think
Yeah.
they have them. I know they used to have them at Folsom Field too, and it's an experience. So when he said that, I was like, oh, I guess I'm glad I'm not in there because it's probably uncomfortable. But
Oh,
Dude,
they still got him. They still got him in Folsom Field.
they do. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's so funny that you bring this up. So like Hunter Booth is texting me about this show, and then he goes, might as well put out of order on the bathroom because there is no reason.
Oh, I love it.
It's so funny that you brought that up. I was like, wow, that's full circle. And then this encore, what are they doing?
Oh, oh, yes, and that's one that I'm like, what? That's one that hasn't been played in a long, long time, and
Check on the list, Scotty. Point for me.
and
Yes.
and I'll fully admit I was not a huge fan of the band when this song was played a lot, and I've heard that this song used to be played a lot, and people called it "One a Show" or whatever.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, I've heard it twice. Both times it was insane, and it was
Yeah.
at Mishawaka, and then here and
That
then.
was the last one. Yeah.
And
We're really coming full circle on a lot of these shows that we're talking about.
I hope to hear
It's
more of that again, though, because that was awesome.
yeah, one like the one in the one previous to that, the one in Austin, the Concourse Project is out of control good. But
This is one of my favorite songs. I've never ever understood of the problem with it. I mean,
yeah,
I guess if you're seeing it a lot, maybe it can get old. But man, this truly, to me, this is like on the same list of songs I could never get sick of. That I would put like a Ramon on, or like a Shock Doctrine, or
I liken it to Aimlessly.
Yeah.
Same type of intro, same kind of vibe. Just like kind of similar to that Tooth they played early in the show. Just like nothing crazy about it, right? But they just executed so well. And then
Right.
you talk about the balance between things, like, and then a grow to get you out. Like,
Yeah.
I simply would not have left the venue. I'd been like, nope, I'm setting up camp right here. Yeah. But man, Ryan, you got your money's worth, man. For if you're gonna miss a first set, that's the one to miss.
I hate missing anything, especially after that, and certainly there's always gonna love Out of This World, and I'm on Arigato, and man, they look great, but you could hear it from our room. You could hear that music was happening in the building next door from our hotel room. So,
Oh, that's the worst feeling. Yeah.
it's about being a grown up, I guess. Sometimes real life creeps in when you're trying to keep it out, and and that was what was going on. So, but it was still like, I don't know. It felt so redeemed after the show.
Yep.
Of course.
And it was so worth it. And I was really like questioning in the moment, like, should I have not done this? Should I have gotten on a plane, gone back to Denver, and been with my dog, and and so I was having pretty big feelings before the show, and so that was definitely something that was like, it was really, I really felt like they it made me walk out of there like, yeah, I'm
Mm.
glad we bucked up and got our asses over there. You know,
Fuck yeah.
yeah, instead of just wallowing in our sadness and upset feelings about the dog, just to get over there and came to do what we came here to do. You know.
Yeah, that dog don't want you to miss
Oh,
no fucking soundtrack
exactly.
show.
He's pissed we didn't bring him, because he's been brought to more than one run. So, but so
Man, all right. Well, I think I want to put a question towards both of you. After reviewing these three shows, order them in first, but your favorite to still all three of them are awesome, but I guess first place, second place, third place. Start with you, Brian.
well, I'm gonna go with Cat's Cradle's first place, and then
Mm.
Charlottesville second place. That just I don't know, and it's one of those things like listening to those tracks from all the shows the two shows I wasn't at that we talked about. Like, damn, should try to maybe tried harder to make those,
Yeah.
and especially like you said, looking at the set list from Charlottesville and being like, wow, we could have done that, right? Like, we could have done that, right? We could have been there, and we're like, but so that's kind of how I would rank them. But it's really hard when you're like, because I do think that like there's something to be said about it being there, right? That like,
Mm-hmm.
so I hate to like judge a show I wasn't at, right? Because like you don't really like you can listen to the soundboards and you can listen to recordings and even watch videos and get an idea, but like that's the harder part because a lot of times some of the best moments for me are just maybe really personal for me or me and my wife and those don't always going to line up with what everybody says was the most crazy thing that happened that night. So I try to always like kind of take that with a grain of salt for what it's worth.
Man, you
For
are
sure.
not a jaded old vet. You are you keep a good perspective about you. Unfortunately, that's why they pay us the big bucks is to rank these fucking shows and act like our opinion matters. And so, um, yeah, this is interesting, man, because I feel like on paper, Cat's Cradle is not only the best show of these three shows, but maybe one of the best shows of the year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
without a doubt.
yeah.
on paper. Now, in execution, I don't know if I don't, when I say this, I don't mean to say that the execution of Cat's Cradle is lesser than. I think I just kind of slept on the execution in the Pittsburgh and the Charlottesville shows. So I think I can't believe I'm doing this just because of how strongly I felt about Cat's Cradle. I think Cat's Cradle slightly goes three for me.
Yeah.
And
I don't disagree with you, man, but it's tough after listening back to that hidden hidden.
I'm an Alana guy. The shows that she really stands out at are always my favorite, and so for that reason, I think Pittsburgh is number one for me, and
Okay.
Charlottesville is number two.
Wow. We all have different rankings, which is that just goes to show like
Yeah.
your opinion matters to you and you only, and that's fine, right? You live in your own universe. Like I'm going Charlottesville 1, Cat's Cradle 2, uh,
Wow.
and then Pittsburgh 3, simply because I look at like the two sets that weren't as great as the others as Pittsburgh set 2 and Cat's Cradle set 1. So then you're kind of putting up Pittsburgh set 1 versus Cat's Cradle set 2, and I take Cat's Cradle set 2 over Pittsburgh set 1.
Okay.
That's my thought process.
Yeah.
But like front to back, I think I'll find myself going back to that Charlottesville show more than any of these that stand out for sure. But I mean, man, how blessed are we? What a fucking 5 nights. Took us a total of about 3 hours of podcast time to fucking wrap it all up. So, but Brian, man, thank you so much for joining us. You were a blast, man. Excited to. I don't know, I haven't met you in person to meet you in person. Yeah, and maybe we'll fucking hit a Panic show, all three of us. That sounds fucking fun.
I think I'm doing 2 nights this year, bro. I think I'm doing.
You're doing 2 nights at Red Rocks?
Yeah, I think I'm doing
Nice.
Friday and Sunday.
So we had a terrible experience with AXS today. Because for the first time in like 8 fucking years, both my wife and I pulled tickets.
Nice.
So, but they have a rule 4 per household. So they just
Oh man.
released 2 of them and gave us our money back. And we're like having to call our friends today, like, I hope you didn't buy a plane ticket. We don't have a 3-day for you now. And and the person that we got a hold of was really like understanding and everything like that. But she's like, hey, it's Red Rocks. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of
Damn.
like, damn, I guess it's too good to be true. But like, we're still gonna go. It's gonna be great, great time. And honestly, our friends from Arizona, I feel confident that they'll get tickets because like if you come, you get tickets. It always works.
Yeah, for sure.
So
The right people get into the show. And
Yeah.
that, folks, is one of the benefits of being a fan of a tier 3 jam band, right? Getting tickets,
yes.
not all that. Yeah.
that struggle. And it's funny though when you have that like the anxiety before like the Austin went on sale, like we got to make sure we get 310, right? Oh, and like making sure because like it only holds 300 people. Like I don't want to get shut out of that,
Yeah.
and then still having no problems being able to hop on, buy a ticket, that day or whatever. It's like then it's like sitting in the queue for Panic pre-sale or knowing that it's like it's probably 1 in 15 chance I'm even going to get a chance to buy one ticket here,
Right.
and
Right.
so it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, great. I'm glad you're coming, Scotty. We'll definitely have to hook up for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I
Well,
love
thank
some
you.
Widespread Panic. So
Yes, sir, brother.
but, so man,
Well, yeah, man. Oh, this sounds like that's the next place people can catch you is in Austin, right?
I'll be in Austin, yeah. And
yeah.
Leslie will be she's gonna manage to make it out for those 2 New Orleans shows, which that's gonna be some hard husband jealousy moment, but I'm locked in at work until noon on Saturday, so I'm coming in hot, flying Austin straight to the show. So,
Yeah.
it's gonna be good, man. I've been. I look back and I'm like, man, I've done 2 5-night runs already, and it's only March. This has been
God damn, yeah.
I'm like, I was not in the cards. I didn't think that was, and like we got 2 more coming right in Austin. So
Yep.
I just feel super blessed. Super.
Yep.
So,
Aren't we all, man? What a time to be a Sector 9 fan. But thank you, Brian. Thank you guys for watching and listening, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Throw us a like, throw us a subscribe, throw us a comment or review if you're feeling nice. Until then, have a great St. Patrick's Day weekend, right? I'm wearing a little bit of green for that. And next time we see you, we'll be in the midst of March Madness, Scotty. Might have to start next week with a fat march. That'd be fitting. But
let's go. Let's
yeah.
go.
Love you guys. Chest pats.
love you guys. Thank you guys so much.